Hey there. Today we are doing a comparison of vanillas. I have this recipe from my grandma of her homemade vanilla ice cream. And on here it says excellent ice cream. But I thought that it would be really fun to make my grandma's ice cream and see how it compares to mine, or mine compares to hers. This recipe is a little interesting to me. It does not say to separate the egg yolks, so I'm going to use whole eggs in it. It also calls for flour and cornstarch, which I don't know why that is because they are both used as thickeners in ice cream, but I'm just going to use both of them and see how it goes. And it also doesn't say to heat the eggs any differently. Put the eggs in a different bowl and, add the hot ingredients to the eggs and then do it that way. So what I'm going to do is mix the eggs right here in my saucepan with the sugar, and then we'll put it on the stove and cook it. We'll see how this goes. I'm really curious about this recipe. I'm also going to half my grandma's recipe so that it doesn't make as much as what she's got here. So I'm gonna do a few eggs. It seems really odd to do whole eggs in ice cream. I don't even use eggs in my recipe. And then sugar. It's a whole lot of sugar. And I'm going to whisk this all together before I add the flour and cornstarch. Really strange. So now we'll add the flour and cornstarch. So whisk all that together. And now what we're gonna do is put this on the stove and add, I've already got my cream and half and half ready to go in my measuring cups. So we'll put it on the stove, add the cream, and let it heat up for a little bit until the back of the spoon is coated and you can run your finger through it, then it's done. So we'll do it that way. So I cooked our custard on the stove, and I think that it's done when lift up the spatula and you run your finger through it, there's a distinct mark. So my ice cream doesn't have eggs in it. I don't make a custard-based ice cream, but from what I know about custard ice creams, that's usually the indication that your base is done. Now what I'm gonna do is put this in a different container and put it in the refrigerator so that it can cool down. I guess maybe thicken up a little bit. So that's what we're gonna do. It also says in here to strain the mixture. I guess I probably will strain it, but I don't think I have any scrambled egg in here. I think that it is a very smooth consistency. Now we'll strain our mixture. Yeah, nothing, I have no scrambled eggs. So I think mixing the eggs and the sugar together was a good thing to do before putting it on the heat. Okay, I'm just going to cover this and put it in the fridge. Okay, while my grandma's recipe of her ice cream is in my fridge, cooling off, I am going to make my ice cream. This is the base that I have previously made, and I use it for everything. And we're just going to put it right into the ice cream maker with 2 teaspoons of vanilla and let that go. This vanilla is pure Mexican vanilla, straight from Mexico. My friends, they have family down there and they are able to get this often. They said, here, use some of our vanilla and see how it goes in your ice cream. So this is actually my first time using this vanilla, and I am excited to see how it changes the taste of the other vanilla that I use and how it affects the ice cream. Every time my friend bakes and uses this vanilla, I always ask, oh, is there cinnamon in here? And she said, no, but it might be the vanilla. It tastes like there is cinnamon in here. And the scent, it is so strong and so yummy. I'm really excited to see how the vanilla ice cream turns out with using this Mexican vanilla. I think it's gonna be really good. Our vanilla ice cream has been churning for almost 20 minutes. Oh yeah, it's perfect. So we're gonna start filling up our pints here. This ice cream is my base. This is my recipe. I wanna get all of this ice cream off the dasher. I think that's probably as good as it's gonna get, getting all of it off. That looks beautiful right there. Some of the best part about the ice cream is when it's stuck on the side of the machine. That's my favorite part because it's really nice and dense and chewy, but it does take a little bit of work getting it in your container because you got to scrape the sides down. But look at this, yum. All right. I'm gonna lick this. Oh yeah, that's great. I think that vanilla, the Mexican vanilla, it really enhances the flavor of the ice cream. And it does almost have that little cinnamony taste to it. It's really nice. So we have 2 pints of my vanilla ice cream, and soon enough, we will have my grandma's recipe ready to go too. My grandma's ice cream has been in the fridge for a little bit now, and it's not completely super cold, but I have my ice cream maker cooling the bowl, so I think that'll be just fine. I'm gonna do 2 tablespoons of vanilla. This is definitely a thinner mix than mine. And I think what I'm gonna do is use a ladle to put it all in here. It certainly has a different color because of the egg. It's a little more yellow versus mine was more white. Now the reason I used 2 tablespoons in this one and 2 teaspoons in mine is because the ratios of these 2 ice creams are different. This had 4 cups of cream with all the eggs, so I don't know how much it actually ended up creating. I think I'm not going to actually use all of this. Maybe I'll churn it later and see if letting it sit overnight changes the consistency from this to a different batch. Grandma's ice cream is done, so we're going to put it in this container here. I'm really curious about how the texture of the ice cream, this particular one, is going to be compared to mine. Because mine is really creamy and it has a really nice bite to it. It'll just be interesting to compare these 2 ice creams. So here is my grandma's recipe for vanilla ice cream. And we are going to stick this in the fridge, not the fridge, the freezer, and let it freeze overnight because that is the best ice cream, hard ice cream. Yesterday, I made 2 different vanilla ice creams. Today, we're gonna be tasting them to see how they compare to one another. Now, this one is my grandma's homemade vanilla recipe that I've never made nor had before. And this one is my vanilla recipe. Right off the bat, you can tell that they are different. My grandma's has a little bit more of a yellowy color. This one is a custard base with eggs in it. Mine is more white. And I think that has to do with because of the eggs, no eggs in it. Actually, when I was scooping these 2 ice creams, my grandma's was super soft to scoop through versus mine that was actually really hard to scoop through. I didn't let them sit out when I took out the containers. I just scooped them out, as soon as I brought them out of the freezer, where normally you should let it sit for a few minutes to kind of warm up and make your scoop, easier to get through. The texture of these two ice creams in the scoop form is different as well. Where at Grandma's, it's a very smooth surface on there. And mine, you can see some of the texture of the scoop I really like. So let's give these a try. First, we'll go with Grandma's. It's very soft. This is a very sweet ice cream. The vanilla is good. This one has 2 tablespoons of vanilla in it. The texture of the ice cream is honestly a bit icy. When I bite into it, the sugar granules, even though it was completely dissolved, just seems like they're there as I chew into it. It's probably the ice crystals really in the ice cream. There is kind of a lot of air in this ice cream. I had to churn it for a while because it was taking a long time to start freezing. You know, the texture, it kind of seems like a store-bought ice cream to me when you get from the grocery store. It just doesn't really hold in a way super well. It's very loose and soft. Very, very sweet, not super smooth, kind of grainy, and I cannot chew it very well. So now we'll go to mine. I like that you really have to get in there when you get the scoop. And look how nice that is. It's nice and white. Everything is holding together. There's no runoff from my spoon. So creamy. You can chew it. You know what? I honestly could add more vanilla. I only added 2 teaspoons to this. I could probably add 1.5 tablespoons to this vanilla. And I love the fact that it has some saltiness to it. Grandma's was just way too sweet for me. I love that you can chew this ice cream. Having these side by side, you can really see and taste the difference between the recipes. I have to eat another bite of this. It is so good. I love that you can chew it. In this bowl, you can see that the ice cream, it's not really melting, not yet. It's still pretty intact. This one, it is starting to melt. And I took these out at the same time. I do prefer mine more than Grandma's. And I hope that she doesn't take offense to that if she ever watches this. I think mine has more of a professional taste and look and texture versus this one, which definitely seems like a very normal homemade ice cream recipe, but also a very cheap ice cream that you would buy at the grocery store. It just doesn't really stand up in compared to this one. If you want to learn how to make my vanilla ice cream, you can go to CREAMARIE Co